What would it mean to actually address your shadow? Why would you even want to do that? What is the shadow? And what benefits can we expect to see by doing this? These are really good questions, and this video was actually prompted to me by a commenter, so thank you. I think it was not Mr. Beast, Dr. Beast. Thank you for your comment. So yeah, what is shadow work? Shadow work is seeing the parts of us that we have repressed, pushed down, and denied to get things such as love, validation, and acceptance and safety from those around us. Often the shadow forms as a means of protection so that we can get these things through our familial roles, our roles in our families at its core. So, as an example, as is common in spiritual spheres, the inability to express anger is a common thing. And if you trace that back to childhood, maybe you were denied by your parents to express anger. When you showed anger, it was immediately shot down, and thus creating an identity within you that I can't express anger. I can't show anger. It's too unsafe. Mum and dad won't love me if I do that, if I show anger. So, and this also extends out to our friendship groups, you know, especially like teenage friendship groups. If I show a certain way of being, you know, if I show that I'm a geek or something, I won't be accepted by the cool kids. So I have to reject that part of me. And this is how our identity is created. It's created around shame. I can't be that. I can't have that part of me. So I'm going to shame it, deny it, reject it. And being whole, becoming whole again, which is what this channel's primary focus is about, is how do we become whole again, is re-inviting all of the parts of us that we've denied, rejected, and repressed in ourselves so that we can feel whole again. So we have access, so we're fully conscious and have access to all of the parts of ourselves that we have denied. This has many benefits, because if I integrate a part of me that I have rejected, well, what does rejection feel like? When we say we get into a situation, to use that example of anger, if I go over to someone and they do something that crosses a boundary of mine, what do? I default to my identity of the people pleaser. Oh, it's okay. Like you can be here. You can take all of my cookies and all of my lunch money, and that's totally fine. Right? The people pleaser. I don't want to. That's like the common familial, or not familial, but the common identity we use to avoid showing anger, which comes across as virtue, but it's actually just an inability to express anger, which we don't have to beat ourselves up about. It's just about clear seeing. So shadow work would be to go into, why do I do that? What does that get for me? What's at risk if I expressed anger to that person? And you can even, if that feels relevant for you, you can try this right now to really get a visceral sense of what the shadow is. And if it isn't anger, try it for something else. I can show sadness. I can show weakness. And then you can imagine somebody who you would really struggle to show that with. So for instance, my boss. I can show anger to you. Yeah? And you feel for the resistance in the body. And if you feel any resistance in the body, by using a sort of reverse inquiry like that, or I can feel sadness in front of my parents. I can feel anger in front of my parents. That resistance is basically saying that, no, I can't. I need to reject that part of myself. So the best way that I know how to do shadow work is well, honestly, in my experience, I use a wealth of tools and techniques. For instance, focusing, the Kiloby inquiries, balancing that with awakening-based practices of realizing the play and the emptiness of all of it. Seeing beliefs, examining beliefs, seeing views and perceptual overlays that contribute to suffering. But ultimately, what's worked for me the best is somatic inquiry, because these patterns, the shadow patterns, the resistance that you feel when you use a reverse inquiry, like I can happily express anger in front of my parents. What that does is it triggers resistance. So in a sense, our core conditions are stored in the body of saying no, of resisting experience. So for me, shadow work is about how do we actually meet those parts of ourselves? And the body is, for me, the best way to do it. And people have many different ways. Cognitive behavioral therapy, internal family systems, just clear empirical investigation of using questions like, why do I do that? Journaling is a very good one that I also draw upon quite often. Stream of consciousness journaling. Giving an unfiltered voice to those emotions. Like if I had and this is interwoven with somatic inquiry, but if I had a contraction in the body, what would it say if it had a voice? I hate it. I hate it when they do that. Those motherfuckers, like really giving it a voice if it's repressed anger. And that, which is terrifying, right? If you've repressed anger. But that's what shadow work is. And why would we do it? To feel whole within ourselves. To let go of the resistance that is blocking the natural expression of who and what we are. Granting access to our most authentic expression so that we feel whole. So it doesn't feel like when somebody goes to take our lunch money that we drive, this feeling of driving with the brakes on comes online, and all of these like heady identities come online of, it's okay, you can take my lunch money, right? This is an example. So that's really the basics of shadow work. And for me, somatic inquiry is the means to do that, is the means to feel whole. It's quite simple. We don't have to overcomplicate this. There are so many, and we probably feel a sense of overcomplication by there being so many videos out there. If you're enmeshed in this sort of sphere of psychospiritual work, you'll probably have videos in your algorithm cropping up left, right, and center saying like, use this technique, use that technique, manifest your dreams. And all of it's sort of linked to shadow work, but it's very simple. And for me, it's about what works. What works for you to see your shadow? What do you resonate with the most? Is it journaling? Is it somatic inquiry like me? Yeah. Just see the parts of you that you don't want to see. There's a scene in a movie called Revolver that says, wherever you do not want to go, that is where you will find him. Referring to God, basically. And Carl Jung said that man does not see God because he does not look low enough. Paraphrasing. This whole movement, this whole thing of shadow work, to put it into perspective, it's a movement toward wholeness, toward oneness, and realizing that we're never broken, which is, in my experience, a very profound way to live. So if you have any more questions, please drop them in the comments. Thank you, Dr. Beast, for this video recommendation. I realize I haven't made many foundational videos, and I do a lot of sort of like nitty gritty without the beginner awareness. So yeah, just let me know. And I think it's valuable for all of us to put this work into context again, no matter where we are on the path. So thank you very much.